Hi there. Welcome to Discussions with the Fascia Masters. My name is Deanna Hansen. I'm the founder of Fluid Isometrics and Block Therapy, and I am being joined by my nephew and partner in block therapy, Quinn Castellane, and our very special guest, Lisa Songer-Burke. Now, this is going to be a very exciting discussion because Lisa has a very incredible story to tell. As a physical therapy assistant, she had a very great wealth of knowledge about rehabilitation. But I'm going to pass this over to you, Lisa, so you can initially tell us how you first started with block therapy, and then we're going to get to the real story.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Lisa Songer-Burke. I first found block therapy. I had an initial injury in 2007, chronic pain up until, 2020, when it got exacerbated. And I went to everybody, and we don't know why you have this kind of pain. I couldn't function. I couldn't cook. But I picked my grandson up and did something. And for 3 months, ended up about 5 months brushing my teeth, sitting down. I couldn't stand to get into the refrigerator. I literally was bedbound. So I think it was in July or August that I saw block therapy on Facebook. And you know how if you see it once and you look into it, it kind of comes back again. And so I ordered it, kind of sat there because I couldn't get out of bed. Finally, one day I said, I'm just going to try it. And it was the first relief that I had gotten in like 8 months from this new injury. And that's actually what started it. I did go see a physiatrist in Boston who gave me an exercise program. So with block therapy and the exercise, I went 11 weeks crying every night. And I did PT also. I didn't sleep. It was just awful. But at the end of the 11 weeks, I was brushing my teeth standing up and just stopped because I hadn't been brushing my teeth. And I didn't save my husband for 3 days because I was afraid that maybe it was a dream. I was going to wake up. It was a nightmare. And then I just kept doing the exercises and kept doing the block therapy. And I was pain-free for the first time in 13 years. I was pain-free. I still had but it wasn't like I was sleeping better. I wasn't sleeping for years. I would average about 4 hours a night unless I had drugs. And then I backed off a little bit because we had bought a place up here in Maine, and the pain came back. Took me about a month and a half to get pain-free again. I was 2 weeks pain-free when.
Yeah. Okay. And this is where it gets really, really interesting.
So I really like to snowmobile, and I'm not a speed demon. I'm really safe, but they have a radar run where you can go really fast in this safe environment. It's like 600 feet, and you just floor it, go really fast, stop, they flat, it's like a radar run. They radar you and say, oh, you went, 60 miles, 100 miles. I was a second in line, and all of a sudden it's like a whiteout. Never did it before. I'm shaking. I'm so excited. My husband said, get your head down, your butt down, and just floor it. And the guy said, go. And I took off, and I overshot the end, but the snowstorm disoriented me. And I saw an orange sign. I said, oh, I got to go. And like, it's a little too far, but I got to go. And I was just like, no. When I got to the sign, it said turn. And when I looked up, there was a 3-foot snow wall. And they had clocked me going over 83 miles an hour. I said, Lisa, you're going to die. Just roll and go with that, And I woke up rolling in the snow. And my husband said I shot a couple 100 feet into the snow. And I thought I was okay. And I woke up and started to do an assessment. And I knew my arm was broken because it was pointing the wrong way. This arm was good. My right leg was up in the air, like bent. And I was like, oh, it's just dislocated. Great. They're going to pop it in. I'm going to be great. And my left leg was fine. So they had to shut down life flight. So I took an hour ride to a first hospital where they set my bones. And then the second hospital was 2 hours away. And so I broke 8 bones in over 12, 13 pieces. There's probably a few more, but it's about it. I broke my femur in 3 pieces. I broke the tibial plateau on the right side, the fibula head, I broke my right wrist. I broke my left wrist, both sides here, both sides of the humerus. It shot out this way, and this part of my arm was facing that way. Broke a bone in my back, concussion. I think that was it. And I spent a month in the hospital. They gave me 8 COVID tests because I started to spike a fever, and it kept going. It always averaged about 102.9 to like 103.2. And I said, I can't have COVID. We're isolated up here. I'm not around. And I was in the hospital about 2.5 weeks at that point. So I got COVID in the hospital, which was.
So what was the prognosis when you first came in? Did they give you an idea of what they thought would where your injuries would take you?
No, nobody really talked to me, and I won't say I was really out of it. I don't think the realization hit me at first. I was crying because I did think, geez, what an idiot I am. I did, I kind of asked, so how is it? And they're like, oh, well, we put you back together. And just a quick jump ahead, I just met the EMT a couple of weeks ago that was in the ambulance, and he couldn't, when he saw me walking, didn't know who I was, but then he was like, we actually had a bet that you would never walk again because of your injuries. So yeah, wow. That was my first, nobody ever said, they just, I know the first time that I went to see the surgeon, he was like, oh, okay. Second time, yeah, okay. Third time, I was like, yeah, but I'm moving my wrist, look. And he goes, yeah, okay. And he was supposed to discharge me after the 4th appointment. But when I walked in, it was standing there, and he said, can you just take a walk for me? And I kind of just got up and I said, so you want me down there? And he's like, yeah. And so I walked and I came back, and he looked at my husband and he said, she doesn't even have a limp. Like, you don't even have a limp. And I said, doing this thing called block therapy. And
let's back up. Let's back up a little bit so we can really have a good timeline of the story. So now you're in the hospital, and I remember you phoned me from the hospital.
I did.
And you had a block there, and you basically said, of all that was going on, you really struggled with this arm. Yeah. And I remember you telling me about, can you talk a little bit about how the breathing helped you through?
Yeah. So I have to say, if nothing else, the breathing was the biggest thing, especially when I got the pneumonia, because I think the reason why I didn't get it as bad is because I knew how to really belly breathe. I actually, at the first time I got the temperature, I did the breathing. And when they came back and took my temperature, my fever was gone. I did that 2 or 3 times, and then I got too tired. It was just it was a fever, but it was just so calming. And it was just I was 30 days by myself. I didn't have visitors. I was in isolation from COVID too. So it just maintained my sanity. Yeah. It was something that kept me grounded. And whenever I could, I'd stick the block wherever I could kind of get it to. So, but when you called me, I also had developed a chronic pain syndrome. So just doing this, when I had OT at home, it was making me puke. So nobody touched it. It was just, at one point they had to insert the IV and give me drugs again because I was screaming. It was a 9, 10 out of 10. I had 2 children naturally and didn't compare to this kind of pain. But the block, I couldn't straighten my arm at all. This was it. I couldn't do anything. And you called and I got it behind there, and I was able to stretch it out, plus the spasms that were happening up here just kind of melted. And I remember just crying, it's just this is crazy. Cause they came in and they'll look at me and it's well, sorry, you want more pain meds? It's no, no, I don't. So.
Wow. Okay. So you finally get out of the hospital, and then at some point in the short time after that, we started working together.
Yes, that was actually, I wrote that date down. It was September 17th we began. I did find that. I think it was around September 17th.
So at that time, you were walking pretty normally.
I was beginning to walk. Yeah. I didn't start walking until May 28th. So I haven't even been walking a year yet. So, but yeah, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad, but it was 3 months because this wrist was broken and the elbow, so I couldn't use a walker or anything. So I was in a wheelchair.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about sort of the timeline from when we started working together. And I basically like, we worked like 20, 25 weeks or whatever it was, like every week. And I just
Yeah.
have to say you were such a trooper because like, holy smokes, I mean, the pain you were experiencing, but yet you were going in and you were doing the work every day, and we'd connect every week and we'd, sort of assess where you were at and see what we could do. So talk a little bit about that timeline with the things that you observed and noticed.
I think well, I know one of the hard things about it is like so many joints that I was working on that I would get kind of frustrated, but I also knew that I would pick the most uncomfortable place. And that's usually where I would start. But the thing about blocking is that with the pain that I was having, I could always decrease it. Not like, oh, it still stinks. I could always, I mean, that area where I landed on my right hip, like on the inside. I remember at one point, and we had worked on it. It's still like a little bit bothers me, but it doesn't keep me up anymore. But I was sleeping with my bed, an adjustable bed elevated. So my legs were up in the air at a 90-degree because laying flat, I would cry every night because I couldn't roll, and I can't lay on this side because of this arm. So I would get on the block and just before I would go to bed, and I would block that side, and it was just enough to ease up to let me go back to sleep. But the range that I was seeing, the PTs coming in, and I did it. I mean, I did it. You just, you keep, and it's like, so when she would leave, then I would just start to block the areas that I felt really tight, and she'd come back and go, "What are you doing?" And it just kept progressing. I mean, when I finally did finish OT, and I just went back last week to get like reevaluated, because he was like, you pretty much, where you're at. And I'm like,
and where was that? Let's talk about that risk, because I mean, we did spend probably the majority of our time together. We spent, I would say, on this arm, right?
yes.
So when we started with this, like, what was your hand like, and what kind of range did you have?
It's like, I can't, it's stiffer now, but my hand was like this. I mean, I couldn't even do this. I mean,
you couldn't lift the wrist, you couldn't rotate, you couldn't straighten the arm.
Couldn't move my fingers, couldn't move everything.
So what did they think you would get, like with the work that you were doing? What did they think that, like, how far did they think you would get with your progress?
Now I know they honestly didn't think I was going to get anything. With all the progress that I made, the surgeon sent me to an EMT, and he was going to discharge me in September, but asked me to come back in December because of the progress. And then he sent me and I got an EMG. And according to the EMG from the elbow below, I have no motor function on my radial side. He goes, I expected to see a woman come in, a 60-year-old woman come in and say, "Can you help me with my hand?" And I go in and I say, "Yeah, it's kind of working, but I can only lift 3 pounds. And, I mean, I can get my earrings in, I get my bra, and he's just like, I don't know how you're doing it. And, but I could not physically, it was just like rock. I mean, even now when people do it, they get grossed out, but it's like, because it's muscle that's just tight. So when it twists, it feels really good. But no, they didn't expect me they didn't even expect me to walk again. I mean, when I was writing up a little bit of things last night, and I was kind of crying because there's been a lot of people in the last couple of months that are like, "We never expected you to be out of a wheelchair." And I'm glad nobody told me that, but I would be in a wheelchair right now if it wasn't block therapy, because I know for me on how I used to do it, that I would have said, I can't break your bones to move I get out of the hospital, it was like this. And now I can hold soup. I can turn around doorknob. That freaked me out the first time. I just turned the doorknob and I went, "Oh my God,"
Exciting.
It really is. Like the other day, finally, I can hold a bowl of soup and carry it without half of it spilling on the floor. I've broken a couple plates.
That's amazing what you said though about had they told you, right? Because like, isn't that true? Like we get told something and then we believe it, and then that becomes the reality. And that's the part that's always like, you really have to be careful with what you tell people, because if they believe it, now you've kind of set their fate for them if they don't know how to explore other options and open their mind to new things.
But there are no options for an injury like this. There aren't any other options. There are no other options. I've worked on people and discharged them and said, "Geez, just I wish there was more I could do, but it's like, I mean, that was the scope of my, studies, even with, all the other different modalities and stuff. This is, I mean, it'd be neat if people saw the pictures, somebody saw the picture of my elbow's in like 6 pieces. And for me to be able to function with it is just, it's not a miracle. It's just not heard of. It's not heard of. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm in a dream and I'm going to wake up and I'm going to be sitting in a wheelchair. It's like, because this shouldn't be happening, but I get to hold my grandkids, I'm cook. I mean, there isn't really anything I can't do. I can actually, my newest thing too, is I can put the dishes away up on the shelf, but because I couldn't do that before. I shouldn't be using my hand right now.
And it's not like, and you're not done. I mean,
no,
each time I see you, you've made new progression. And even if it's like a couple of degrees a week, it's only, you only got a little bit further to go and you kind of got full use again. Right.
Right. And when I was discharged, I was clocked at like right here. And he's like, well, but when I went back, I've got like 45 degrees of, supination now, whereas I was like at 0. He discharged me and I thought it was 25, but it was actually 35 degrees of extension on my elbow. And now I'm pretty sure today I got just about close to 0, if not. And I am hypermobile. So, but I shouldn't be able to do this, Deanna. I shouldn't. And I know that when, we were first talking, you're like, oh, come. I didn't think you were like, but I was just like, really? But I was just my mind said, I'm not going to get there. My mind. So when I called you up and said, please just work, please. It was like, I finally said, I don't care. I don't want to be like this forever. But the first time when you like kind of offered it, and I was like, I'm not going to get better because my training said that. Even though I was seeing it, and it's true. It's like unwinding years in my brain of how to rehab and how to recover. And it's funny, it's so much easier now, but like I said, the last couple of weeks, I've met a lot of people like the EMT, both of them. And they're like, oh my God, like, you have no idea. You have no idea. Like he said, you scared the other EMT. She was scared because he's like, you were really messed up, but nobody really said that. I was just like, he also said I was the first person that he'd given ketamine to because my injuries were so severe, and that the doctor on call was like, why can't you give it a lot? Like, why? And then when I got to the hospital and he saw my injuries, he told him, good job. Yeah, she needed the ketamine. So yeah, I mean, I don't hate the word miracle, but it's not for me. I'm not that person. I'm one of these people. I'm not that person that does these kind of things, but.
And it's interesting because I think about I've read stories and I've heard other things about sort of like miraculous healings, and those seem to be sort of almost instantaneous. This for you has not been instantaneous. This has been, you've put in the time and you've worked months and months and months to get here. So this is arduous work that you've done, but look what you've done.
Yeah. I mean, I average a minimum of like an hour to an hour and a half every day. And that's just like in the bed, either in the morning or at night. I'll do it if I haven't done like a regular, but I'm sitting on the chair. I actually have blocks here, upstairs, and on my mat. But I remember one time my husband left when we were transitioning from our other house up to here, and he had to go. And I started on a class and I got off and I went, oh my God, this feels so good. And I had other things to do. I said, I did another class. And then I was like, and I did another class. I realized 6.5 hours later, I was blocked. And I had told you that too. And I was like, yeah, but I average probably like three to 4 sometimes. I just forget that I'm doing it. And that's the thing that people should like, if you're never like, I don't like to exercise. I don't like to run. I don't like to lift weights. But I'll block all the time because I can lay on my bed and do it. Sleep is also like, I'm an insomnia because I've been in so much pain for the last 15 years, almost 15 years. And I'm literally taking melatonin in about 7. So sometimes like today it's really rainy, But if I'm uncomfortable or if I can't fall asleep within the first hours, I'll take 2 Tylenol. And that's what I go to sleep with now. And I get like about six to maybe sometimes 8. It depends on how tired I am. But you have no, I mean, if nothing else, just getting sleep back is just, and part of that is because I don't have pain anymore. So all those years that I wasn't sleeping and everybody's saying, well, we don't have, I had pain. I couldn't sleep on my back, but I couldn't sleep on my stomach. I couldn't sleep on my side because then you get that, on your belly. But once the block therapy just kind of, but the breathing too, just the uprightness. I can drive now. My back doesn't hurt when I drive now. But just the injury itself, I'm just telling you. I mean, people just laugh when they see me now. They're like, one guy's like, you still walking? Oh, that's right. You can walk now. It's just, it's really nice. It's a nice community up here too, but thank you. Thank you.
Well, our pleasure.
Yeah.
So along the way, you decided to dive into this teacher program.
Yeah. Oh, I was remembering when I was in Athol, we had purchased a hot tub with some of the money that I'd gotten from my injury. And I remember laying in the tub, and I mean, I never had pain under a 6 and 7. I'm heading to the hospital, but my pain was always like 4 and 5. And I was laying in the hot tub crying. And I remember saying, God, if you can ever get me out of this, like, I promise, like, I'm going to go back and help other people. Because I know what it's like to sit around for a lot of years and just cry and say, how do I do this? Because I would exercise and I'd do PT and I did acupuncture, PT. I've spent thousands of dollars on alternative medicine, thousands of dollars. Who else? Oh, massage. I mean, you name it, and I have tried it. And I did see a massage therapist just up here the other day because I have a hard time just working on this arm by myself. And so I had her kind of focus, and I got home and I blocked, and it literally went, and I went, oh, yes. So she loosened it up just enough. Plus she gave me other areas because now it's turned more. I can really feel like still down in here, but so that's like the only, I mean, I haven't seen a chiropractor, an acupuncturist, anybody. I haven't seen anybody probably about 5 months now. Yeah, at least. And I should have so much more pain with all these breaks. And I don't. I mean, I would say it's like a 1 or a 2 right now. It's like, but it's not like pain. It's just like a discomfort. It's like my hand feels like it's always asleep, like when your foot falls asleep. So the radial nerve is coming, but oh, and the other thing is that the surgeon wants to send, he's asked me to go see a surgeon in Boston who would possibly take a tendon from here and do it here. Because at the point, I mean, I was moving my wrist and I could lift weights, but if I wanted to straighten my fingers, I'd have to go like this because I couldn't. So now, because it's come back, the nerves have come back, I can do this. The OT also said, because I said, well, like, what about the thumb? And he says, all right. So he grabbed here and he said, okay, move your thumb. And I went, he goes, you get it back. He said, don't get surgery. And he was just like, what is it called again? But yeah, so I kind of wanted to see him just to see what he'd say, but I don't know if I will. So, and I have to go back to the surgeon once more, but he wanted me twice to go see this guy, but I'm like, I'm progressing. Why would I want to go see him? But so
what's so cool too is you've actually pulled the pain out, right? Like, if you stayed in that immobility state, the pain would have stayed in there too, and that would not go because it's locked in. But because you did what you did, you actually, allowed it to leave with that new range. So Quinn, you must have some things here that you want to share.
Again, like, this story's just crazy to listen to, and it's so inspiring to anybody. Because, like, I've had my fair share of broken bones and injuries, but
you had a bad ankle.
Well, the shattering of the ankle was really bad. And I remember this is kind of funny, as soon as it happened, and then they rushed me to, it was actually the Pan Am clinic before the hospital, which is like not a place where you want to go. I remember just like screaming to one of the people, I'm like, this is way worse than childbirth. I don't care what anybody said. I just remember saying that. And I'm like, how would I know?
Were
Like,
you on
it was just
morphine
like,
or something?
pardon me?
Were you on morphine or something?
I was probably on drugs at that point. Like it was because as soon as I was in the ambulance, they were feeding me with morphine because it was like my ankle was just dangling and moving all around and shattered and just disgusting. But yeah, I just can't imagine all of that trauma you went through at once, because I'm like, I said the same thing. Like, I can't get in more pain right now with that ankle. And I remember feeling so frustrated, just lying in my bed, not being able to like roll over, having my foot just like stacked on a couple pillows. And that alone, I just remember keep on telling myself, like, I'm going to run everywhere. I'm going to walk everywhere when I can actually get up and walk. Oh my God. And then you go through the whole, like, I just took walking for granted. I took running for granted, hockey, squats, doing anything. Yeah. And you don't realize it until you have an injury, really, which is kind of sad in a way. Like, people take everything for granted unless they have some sort of injury or trauma that's happening to them. But just to see that you were able to take, because like I had Deanna working on me to be able to get me through that injury a lot quicker. But to see from you being in a distance, not having Deanna actually put her hands on you, you were able to take the knowledge, the tool, use your hands to heal yourself out of pain. And that's the whole point. The whole point is to empower everyone, because we're our own healer. Everybody is their own healer. They just don't have the right information, and we can access it like this. And that's what's so cool about technology and social media. It's like people listening to this discussion now are only listening to this because of technology. So being able to use that to our advantage to help as many people as we can, for this message to get out to as many people as they can, they know that they can heal themselves if they're given the right information, the right tool. And that's literally it. And a good mindset. I think a mindset's huge, because I love what you said about them not telling you beforehand you would have been in a wheelchair. Yeah. Because that's so true.
It is.
If you believe, like, I've even heard people like on their death sentence, it's like, you have 2 to 4 months to live. And it's like, why are you saying that? Like, you don't really know. No. But then those people always die within that 2 to 4 months or whatever that time frame is, because it's programmed them to literally pass at that time. So if they were saying like, you're definitely in a wheelchair, 100%, there's not a hope in hell that you're going to be able to ever get up and walk again, the likelihood of you being in a wheelchair is significantly higher than you being able to walk. Yeah. So, and I remember people saying like, you're never going to be able to like run and play hockey again. And I'm like, why are you saying this to me? I'm like, how rude in a way. And this isn't like, these are like friends and like family, and not family, but like friends and other people saying that to me. And I'm like,
because that's what they heard, and they want to let you down gently.
I know. Mm-hmm. And it's just, I just wish the language around that was different, but they also don't know that this is out there, so that there
has never been anything like this. Well, maybe there's something, but I've done a lot of, there's nothing like this out there. You know, I mean, I actually jogged a little bit today. It was raining and the pup was in the back, and he dumped his water. So I needed to I went to a little store to grab a towel to put it on there, and it was raining. So I was like, and I went, oh shit, I'm running.
I can't believe that you got back on the sled. Like, you were my hero.
Oh, well, the first week and a half or two, I was crying like every day. I mean, my husband called and it's like, what an idiot. Like, I'll never be able to help my grandkids. And he goes, you're alive. He said, you're going to be able to kiss your grandkids again. He said, order another sled. And I went, okay. I said, I got to go. Click. And I'm not a speed demon, but I just really love snowmobiling, like, which is what I have some family that are kind of upset that I'm back on a snowmobile, and that's fine. I loved it. And I honestly believe that the vibration really helped to like loosen and release it. It was great. I would come back feeling like, woo, that feels really good. Yeah, no. I rehabbed up here because the surgeon is in Maine. So I didn't have family. I didn't have friends. We were up here. I had one woman that would come and like check on me that I had just met, but I didn't know anybody up here. And so I didn't have anybody telling me, it was just like, the therapist would come in, I'd work with you. It's like, let's go. And then, it's like, if people just tried it, like, I just to try it, like that first time that I tried it when I was bedbound for like 5 months, and I just laid on it and I did the breathing, but it was actually like I think it was like I got the hips, which was like 15 minutes. The next one was like 30 or something. And I got off it and I was like all I did was lay on a block of wood. And that's even what happens now is I'll get on it and I'll feel, but last night that area was bothering me. We had a rainstorm and it's on my right upper hip. It's not down inside the right hip. It's on my outer right hip. And I can feel like, it's like, that women have that mass in the back. Yeah. I'm like, oh, what's that there? So I laid on it last night, about 10 minutes and my good breathing and stuff. And I got off it and I went, I just love this thing. I literally, it was 75% gone, and I'm like, okay, so there's another spot that I haven't. It's just like, there's a lot of little spots down there in that hip because it was so traumatized. It's not quite a year from walking, but it's, but the injury is February 27th. So it's been a year, but I'm still making progress. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I don't have a doubt that I'll get it, but my mind still says, so yeah. I did write one thing. I said, you know what, with this injury and finding block therapy, I feel like my body got broken so that I could rebuild it like the way I wanted to. It was like, my brain's kind of like catching up because it's like, you can't do this. You can't do it. My body's saying, bye. It's like, but it is, you know what I mean? It is, it's like my mind is saying, well, you might get this back, Lisa, but I'm saying, I'll see you later. And then I get on the block and I get more range and I get more function. I mean, I couldn't touch this hands this time last year. Like the OT had to go home more than a couple times because I'd be hurling after the first 5 minutes. It's like somebody, I had a massive sunburn and then somebody threw acid on it. Of course, I never had acid, but massive sunburn. It just burned all the, can't imagine it. I mean, yeah. And now what it is, I noticed after doing some in the elbow, and I got like another 5 degrees last night on my elbow, that this is hardly tingly at all. It's just the radial nerve side now, where it was the entire, from the elbow down. So it's just creeping. It's fascinating. It's fascinating. And there's no way you regenerate nerves. Like, I mean, you can, but you can't. Do you know what I mean? It does take time, but people are like, well, if you don't get it in the first, and then you hear this, if you don't make all your gains in the first year, sorry. And it's not true. It's not true, especially nerve regeneration, like the OT. It's like this much, like, So he said, he goes, I'm going to give you probably about 4 months and you'll probably have full use of my thumb. And so I'll see. But he says, it looks like about 4 more months for that to like really get down there. Cause he goes, it's like kind of here.
So sorry, this was recent, like
the OT. Yeah. That I saw last week. Yep.
Okay.
Cause he was like, I can't, this is my thumbs up, but so yeah, that's the only thing that's not, but
last thing to come now.
Yep.
Well, and what's really cool, like I've had lots of people say to me, I've been in chronic pain for 40 years. Is there any hope for me? And I really like to bring the understanding of what melting is all about. So if you've had a little block of ice in your freezer for 3 days or for 40 years, no matter what, when you take it out and you warm it up, it's going to melt.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter the length of time. It's all about the heating, the melting, the rejuvenation. And what's so cool about what you're doing too is like, you're going through the levels and the levels and the levels. So people think, well, like if you're lucky, you might gain something, but you do, but then you don't stop. Right.
No. Yeah.
And so you just keep going through these levels. And that's really the beauty of blocking is we get to the root, we get to the bones, we get like to all these all these places that, other typical therapies simply can't reach because of that 2,000 pound per square inch fascia magnetic seal, right? Like, so yeah, I mean, when it comes, what's neat about block therapy is, for the majority of people, it's, a daily practice of 30 minutes, you're going to see amazing things. For someone like you that has undergone something that like many people probably wouldn't have lived through, you've put more time in, but you've also done something that many would think is miraculous.
But I don't need pain meds. Do you know? I mean, I take a Tylenol. I can think of maybe 2 days in the last month that I've taken Tylenol during the day. But I just take Tylenol. I don't need the narcotics, and from this, actually, I think it was September or October, that I got a couple of, I got a script for tramadol, I think 30 or something. And that was it. Once it's gone, I didn't, and that was because we were moving. It was like, I was in a lot of discomfort because we're moving, trying to block 5 or 6 hours a day now. Yeah. And also pack up a house at 20 years, me and my husband, and move. So, but in that, it's like, no, I don't, I just, it's like, where is it sore? Okay. It's your back is a little sore. So I go do the ribs or I do the front. It's a pain reliever. So that's why that's my, what's that word? To go after it. That's my reward is, it's like, I get rid of my pain. So it's not just like, well, I want better range. It's like, I want this tingliness to go away. And the more that I block and the more that I unwind it's disappearing. The other thing about PT and OT, and I've done it myself, is, the frozen shoulders and stuff, like my arm, you could not move it. And when I was in the hospital, they have an alternative guy who does, and he came and he just moved something around in my shoulder. And I went, whoa, and then I get on the block and it's like, whoa. So, but that frozen stuff, you go to, and it's like rock hard, and it's like, I'm not going to break your bones. And it's not, it's the fascia that starts to turn into that crap. And then the really tight muscles. My biceps is still kind of, like when I extend it, my finger goes numb more. So okay. I've got that impingement in there, but my biceps is still really kind of hard, and I'm working on it. But it's funny. It's like, okay, which joint do I do today? And I also discovered that they didn't tell me about the fibular head, but I have been, like, the last 3 or 4 months, I've really been trying to like block that like a couple times a week just to like loosen it up, because it's like solid. And that's also like, because all my range is within normal limits. Minus what my hand isn't doing, but all my range as far as my knee and flexion and extension and everything, even my arm it's normal range. The only thing I'm having a hard time is I can't quite touch my shoulder. So, but that's also my wrist isn't twisting, and I don't have the radial nerve yet to help me to turn it. So, yeah. But other than that, this shouldn't be happening, Deanna. Sorry. I get so excited sometimes. It's like, and I try not to like blab it to people, because it's like, just do it, go through the teacher. But I was talking to a lady and she's ready to come up because she's having she goes, please, can I be your victim?
Your victim.
No. And I said, well, you're not going to be my victim. I'll show you, but because they're talking about surgery and I said, but she's just all like, yeah. So anyways.
Well, you are going to bring so much hope to people that feel like, they've hit their end road, and now you've just kind of blown that whole concept out of the water.
I know. And I don't know. If anybody wants to see the x-rays.
Yeah.
They're pretty, just laughed. I showed a woman the other day and I said, she's like, yeah, I'd like to see him. And I showed her on my iPad and she went, okay, that's enough.
I think we'll have to post those so people can see.
Yeah. Can you send me those x-rays?
Oh yeah. And the rod. So my husband fell 8 years ago, almost 9 years. shattered both his ankles. I'm trying to get him on the block. And so he has a lot of hardware and a fixed right ankle and stuff. And my daughter goes, "You win, Mom." Because I have the rods and screws and stuff now. Plates. It's like, oh my God. I mean, there's a full rod in my full femur. I'm like, I just hope my body doesn't reject the metal. But yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Well, you're also detoxing anything that might be, coming in. So
that's true too.
Yeah.
That's true. I hadn't thought about that. But yeah, I've been feeling really squirrely, and I said, why? And it's always coming from my stomach. So this morning I did like a half an hour just on my belly. I just blocked my belly everywhere. And I got up and I went, oh, that felt really good. I got to do that every day. Cause that seems like I don't know. For me, my stomach has always been a pain, but.
Well, and I remember one of the days we were working and you were struggling with your back and we knew it was stuck in there. So we got super deep. And that ultimately created our All Things Diaphragm series. And I mean, like, that's the part that I love so much too, is I've worked with so many people, but I've never worked with somebody with your extent of injury ever before. And so to be able to take your body and, like, again, not with my hands, and from this distance be able to, and then see, we're missing a piece here. So now we have to add this in because we needed to figure something else out for you. Like, that just excites me so much as well, because I mean, I'm not finished. Quinn's not finished figuring stuff out. And getting the hard challenges is really what gives us the mind to be able to create new things that are necessary. So Lisa, I'm just so incredibly honored and blessed that you trusted and you put the time in, because you might have done it for a week and said, this is just too painful. It's too much. I can't do it. And then you would have been where you were, but you continued and you put the time, the hours. And I know I saw you and the pain that you were experiencing, but
my pain always went off, Deanna. I just had to, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but every time I block, my pain decreases.
Yeah.
It might just be a half a point, but I always get off it feeling better. So, I mean, it's incentive, because what else are you going to do? Doc, I need more Vicodin. I mean, I don't want to do that. And it's just so humbling to know that I can do it myself, that I can do that. I mean, besides the varicose veins that have gone, and I don't have a lot of cellulite on my butt anymore, which I love.
Let's talk about a couple of these things, because I mean, this is the cool part too. Yeah. No matter what you're drawn to this for, you're going to get all the benefits, whether it's how your outer expression looks, how you function, how you feel. I mean, like, it's all encompassing. So some people might start because they want to get rid of their cellulite, but then that also might, not also might, it will also take care of their arthritic knee, that's the cool part. So talk about some of those other external things that you've seen change as a result of all your time.
The All Things calf, where we're sitting on the block. And it's funny because I always feel like Quinn's my partner, and it's and it's so cool because now I can get into 90% of the positions, but sitting on there and you're like, oh, and ladies, when it unwinds, a lot of times varicose veins disappear. And I was like, yeah, whatever, and every once in a while I'd say, this lady's crazy, but whatever, and then I get off and I pull up my pants. And I'm like, are you? And they were gone. And I mean, I didn't have tons, but I probably had about a dozen or so on each side. And so I had an area about this big on each side, and it was gone. And it's funny though, because when I got out of the hospital, they were back on that leg, on the right leg, but they weren't on the left leg. The All Things Diaphragm. And I remember so I did that for a week, and I don't know if anybody else, but it on my belly, I had two rolls. It was underneath my breast. I had a roll here and a roll here. And I was just like, what the heck? And doing that diaphragm, it literally that's why I'm working on my belly, but my waist went down like this and they were gone. And I was like, woo, sweet, look at that. I was like, I called my husband, I said, Tango, look at this, But then I got the belly that's down below from 2 surgeries and 2 babies, so I'm working on that next. But the other part I love is that my legs have slimmed down. It's ladies, how they're rounded at the top, the blocking is I feel like I'm not, but I felt like 18-year-old legs. You see their legs and there's they're not that good, but they're not That's really, I mean, it's just, my clothes fit better. I just put on a, when the last time I got in a medium-sized underwear? And I'm all broken up. I should be blimping out and getting weight, heavy because I can't move much. And it's like, I'm just blocking.
And I think one time you mentioned too that you like the dark circles under your eyes are going away. Mind you, you're sleeping now, so that'll also help. But
they are. Yeah, I know. I actually just took the other pictures. I know I was kind of like a little late. But yeah, no, because my father and I have the dark circles from his side. And I did that 21 day. And I swear I have a little bit of darkness right here, but I think it's just, I like it. I don't know.
Awesome.
I'll be 62 in July and I'm okay. I'm happy with what I got.
Oh, I'm so happy for you. Quinn, anything else you want to share here?
Well, I just want to explain, because there might be brand new people here. Like, why is this working for you? Why is this working for thousands, tens of thousands of people around the world to be getting these results from getting out of pain, chronic pain, helping with cellulite, varicose veins, whatever it is? So in a nutshell, literally what we're doing and what block therapy is, it's a fascia decompression technique. So fascia is the connective tissue that literally holds all systems, structures, muscles, cells in the body together. So if you have an injury, such as what Lisa went through, minor, major, whatever it is, scar tissue inevitably develops, and we need to melt through that. But it's not just from an injury or from surgery, it's also from unconscious posture, how we move, stand, what sports we play, how asymmetrical we are. That creates compression in the body. So literally all we do with block therapy is we lay on our block, for a minimum, which is made out of either cedar or bamboo. They're recently made out of bamboo. And you spend 3 minutes in each position. Yeah, exactly. With the proper instruction of diaphragmatic breathing. So even Lisa mentioned when she was so even when you were in the hospital, you were just focusing on the breathing and noticed such a change in your state of mind, in your nervous system, your pain even, and just feeling more hope. And so when you combine the combination of the breath and laying on the block, that's where you start to, we use the word melt or release or decompress the connective tissue. And that's where you create space to improve flow, blood, oxygen flow to cells so that your body can heal. That's all we're doing. We're just allowing the body to heal, but just taking the roadblocks out of the way. It's really simple what we're doing. So that's why everybody can do it.
But
no matter where you are.
It does.
And it does. And it's painful when you do it, but we need to it's painful because
but it's not. No, for me, it's not. For me, it's great.
What I've noticed, those who are in a lot of pain, when they do the block, the pain from the block feels good.
Yes.
And whenever I'm in pain, because we're all human, we all get into pain. If I have a headache or whatever, getting on the block, finding that pain is so addicting because it pulls the other pain out of the body. So we're looking for pain in our body we're unconsciously aware of to heal the body, finding the cause sites, but also there's going to be traumatic areas of injury, that like acute injuries that you still need to address specifically in those areas. Like, it's just a really fascinating system and practice that anybody can do at any time of the day. It doesn't matter your age, gender, your condition. It's the simplest thing in the world. It's laying on a block, breathing, and then we teach proper postural foundations to help maintain that work. So even Lisa, you mentioned like, oh, I'm sitting upright more. When I'm driving, like I'm more conscious of my alignment. So all of like, see how you've integrated this into your life. Now it's becoming more of a lifestyle. So imagine if tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people started doing this on a daily basis, how much just everything would decrease from pain, from cellulite, from meds, from totally. So that's literally our mission, is to help people to empower themselves to self-heal, because we all have that innate ability to heal. We just need the right information and the right tools to get there. Yeah. So that's essentially what block therapy is in a nutshell. So if anybody is in pain or just wants to improve their health or reduce their cellulite or varicose veins, whatever it is, this is an extremely efficient ticket to get you to where you want to be.
It's why and PT does work. Don't get me wrong. I've got a job offer, but I said I need a little bit more. But it can't do it all because it doesn't do. In other words, so when my hip, which I couldn't sleep, and my leg, I was having problems bending my knee. Deanna's like, okay, well, I want you to block your left calf. And I'm like, it's on my right side. And she's like, yeah, block your left calf. And it was like, I mean, it's funny because I'm a little bit mobile, but that's my injured leg.
Wow.
Wow.
I'm impressed.
I'm very impressed.
That's my injured leg. And I came out of the hospital and I was at 76 degrees of extension and flexion. No. So it was minus. Well, anyways, I had 76 degrees on my leg. I couldn't straighten it and I couldn't bend it. That was it. That was where it was going. So now it's normal range. Actually, I have more flexion than I should, but I'm hypermobile. So, well, not hypermobile, but I'm more mobile. So, but part of blocking is that it's not just like lay on the block because it hurts here. It's like, well, it might hurt here, but it hurts down here. So it's, yeah. And the Facebook thing, your page, it's like, you can put anything there. Like, what can I do? And everybody's answering. You can call Deanna or email Deanna and Quinn. And I mean, it's just, you guys are great. Like, I'm your slaves forever. I mean, honestly, I just can't imagine. Oh God,
Well, I have no doubt with what you're doing. We actually plan to write a book even.
Yeah.
That you're going to have many people that feel the same way about you because you're going to guide them through the process you went through. And you know it better than me because I haven't been as broken as you. You did the work. Like you went through that. I have my own story. Quinn has his own story, but your story is really unique. And there's a lot of unique stories in the community because everybody's flogged with so many things, but yours is a very unique story. And what I really want people to know is even if it's 20 years ago that you sustained something like this, you can still make massive changes to what's going on in your body today and create those healings. So
chronic pain. And they said, can't help you. We don't know. Can't do surgery. Don't know. That's pretty debilitating. I mean, I've lost hope a lot, so. And
well, you've just given me lots because I know that this is going to really, get to a lot more people and if people want to reach out to you to talk to you specifically, so we can put your information underneath and
absolutely.
And we also want to get some before and after photos of I want people to see how broken you were.
Yeah. I have that video that I sent you the pictures. I was comparing it the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I need my belly a little flatter though for I get back in the black. When I'm injured, I didn't care. I was just like, blah. But I was like standing like this. I'm like, okay, take a picture, and I'm looking, I'm like, what the heck? And I'm like, yeah.
Incredible.
Well,
thank you guys.
Hugely inspirational, Lisa. Thank you so much. And thanks, Quinn. That was a wonderful explanation of just sort of the process. You just got it in a nice little nutshell there for everyone. So, so let's wrap up. So Quinn, last words here.
So if you're listening to this on either YouTube or podcast anywhere, just make sure that you follow us on our platforms. If you have any questions or comments, just leave them below. Join our Facebook group. Our Facebook group is just Block Therapy members. Put that in the Facebook search bar and you'll see our group there. Anybody can join. You just need to request access and we'll let you in. And it's an incredible community that's very inspiring. You can ask anything you want. Other than that, thank you all so much for tuning in and I look forward to more of these discussions.
Thanks, Lisa, for your time. And thanks everyone and Quinn. All right.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.